Hey there, YouTubers. Right, so i9-10900F. We're going to talk about a few different things, run a couple of benchmarks in here. We'll give you Cinebench R20, and I will do the Intel Extreme Tuning Utility. Going to let you look at what the multipliers are in case you're curious what the max core frequency average is going to be. All right. And you also get to see some temps. Now this is not with the stock cooler. This is with I believe it was a $25 V20 CPU cooler that I'm using. It's a single tower, 120 millimeter. It's actually, you know, for the CPUs I previously used it with, been pretty adequate. So we'll see how it does here. Now, you know, normally if I didn't have power limit set to unlimited, this thing would not be seeing the amount of heat it's going to see here shortly. Okay, so those of you that have the stock cooler, probably good enough, you know, to do all this stuff without upgrading your CPU cooler. However, if you're going to boost this or even change the base clock frequency, those two things will cause you to need a better CPU cooler. So here's a picture of the actual one. There's my my finger. You guys should probably recognize that by now. And the CPU over here. So let us go ahead and look at a couple things. All right, so Intel's Extreme Tuning Utility right here. And what is in here, folks, that you want to see? Well, we'll be doing this benchmark in a second. Let's look at this real quick. Here's the computer. i9-10900F, 16 gigs of RAM, 4133 megahertz. And you know, surprisingly, depending on what CPU's in here or which motherboard, it'll either tap out at 4000 or in this case it does the 4133. EVGA GeForce GTX 1080, not going to really factor into this at all. We're not doing any of the user benchmark or any other benches that would require graphics. So, but we do need, because this ends in F, we do need a graphics card. Alright, so you can see the BIOS of this in case you care. Now, let's move on. So, here are all the multipliers, okay? Down here, you can see what the max core frequency was. So, how do we get that, okay? Basically, if I take all these multipliers, there's 10 of them, okay, 10 active cores, add all those up, and then I divide by 10, that is going to give me the max value I'm going to hit over here, okay? Now, to hit that max value, 1, we can't thermal throttle, and 2, we can't have an issue with power limits, okay? And then sometimes number 3 right here. So, we add all those up, divide by 10, multiply by 100 megahertz, and that's going to give you, you know, probably should be right there on the money for that, okay? Now, this motherboard, one thing I would have shown you, and I won't be able to do it with this motherboard, I would adjust my reference clock up here as well. I could still probably do it in the BIOS, but for whatever reason it doesn't allow me to do it here. But you'll see some pretty significant power gains, performance gains actually, sorry, and power gains by using that. So, what else, folks? This is PL1 right here. You can see it's set to unlimited. PL2 right here. I have not changed any other settings up here. And so what we're going to do, we're going to run the benchmark software in here. And that's going to allow you to see this package temperature. Would also, you know, specifically give you a CPU temperature, which is probably a little more accurate than using this. All right, and then you'll get to see what this value comes out to. So right now it says the max is 4.88. That may stay the same. So let's go ahead and run this benchmark. Should be pretty fast. This is a really powerful processor. Now I am using a secondary computer. The cheap ass Lenovo video capture card that I use that has been actually really great for the channel, due to all the money I spent on the expensive ones, and this one has lasted much longer. So we're using that with the secondary computer to record so that we do not affect the numbers. Wow, that was pretty fast. I believe that is the fastest XTU mark I've seen, because obviously I can't use my Ryzen 9 3900X in here. So you see that CPU temp, 79 degrees Celsius, and I'm right over in this area. If you had the stock cooler, it would be a lot higher. All right, just to let you know, it might even come close to 100. There is what they show as a max core processor frequency, and that is just shy of what it has here, right? 4.94. So interesting, it did not get all the way to the top, but we had no thermal throttling and no power limit throttling. No issue there. Okay. Now, one other thing to note, this motherboard does have the 1x8 and the 1x4 on it, and we are actually, make sure I put up a picture of that for y'all. I'm going to take it right now. And I'm also using this Aries Game power supply. And these guys sent me a 500 watter to check out. I went and bought the 750 because it's, you know, honestly for this channel, 500 watts isn't really going to get it done. 750, we can use that all day with a lot of our computers. All right, what's next, folks? So you see that. We'll be back in here in a moment to check what Cinebench does. I think it's going to drive this step up even higher. And I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to clear this out for y'all. All right. So hopefully you guys remember those numbers, because yours truly already forgot them. Cinebench. Now, I did previously run this, and we're going to run it again, folks. 5972 previous, if you don't want to sit through this. We might break that again, who knows. So this does show my Ryzen 9 score that I had, I believe, 7168. So Intel still a bit off, obviously, from that. But, you know, for most of us, that doesn't matter. We're gamers, right? Even at my age, I'm still gaming more than I'm doing computer design on animations and all this crap that multi-core would help me more with. So, you see I just ran second one, 5944. Potentially not as good because, you know, there's other programs up. It's hotter, blah, 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 you know. Nothing is consistent in the world. So, CPU utilization got way up there. Let us see the max, 4.84. So, still did not get that 4.88 number. But there you go, folks. I think that's all we're going to show you in this video. Thanks for checking out. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.